Hello, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz, where we're promoting jazz and telling the stories. Our guest today is a Washington, D.C.-based producer, mix engineer, musician, DJ, and consultant who has worked with the likes of Herbie Hancock, Dianne Reeves, Roy Ayers, Phyllis Hyman, the Count Basie Orchestra, and many more. Please welcome DC's own Mr. Melvyn Prince. We ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so we can let you know when we are posting another video or going live. We also ask you to donate to our Cash App in order to support the channel and help us to produce future videos. Our Cash App is $Jazzology 101. That's $Jazzology 101. Enjoy the video. Hi, I'm saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz. Our guest today is a Washington, D.C.-based producer, mix engineer, musician, DJ, and consultant. He has worked with many great artists, including Herbie Hancock, Dianne Reeves, Roy Ayers, Phyllis Hyman, the Count Basie Orchestra, Patrice Rushen, the Ohio Players, Ledisi, and more. Please welcome my big brother, the one and only, Mr. Melvyn Prince. Brother Melvyn.
Hey, man.
Welcome to a conversation in jazz.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were talking before about 1996 when we did the Debbie Kirkland.
Yeah.
Now, is that when we met? I've known you. Did I know you before that, or you might have known me?
Well, yeah. I think we kind of ran across each other in general.
Yeah.
Performances and things like that, just on the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to school with your youngest brother.
Yeah.
Mark Prince.
Yeah, Mark.
We were at Howard together, so a wonderful drummer, man, and yeah, man. But we were talking about that session with Debbie Kirkland, man. That was it was a good time for me.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just kind of getting out of college, getting on the scene, doing some things, and so just to be able to do that, man, was and then watching how you work, so I'm learning, as you were the producer. I think you were the producer, engineer. You played some trumpet on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and
that was a project where I got a chance to do a little bit of everything that I do.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great watching you work, because I'm always the kind of cat just sit back and observe, and that helped me. When I started doing some things, I could fall back on some things I was picking up in our rehearsals, and so yeah, that was a fun time, man. I was listening to that record this morning, and it still has that magic, man.
All right, man.
Yeah, so that's a great producer.
Well,
when it becomes timeless.
Thank you so much.
Well, man, so what we do here, we get to know some things about you we may not know. I call it learning the story behind the story.
All right, then.
So my first question is, who is Melvyn Prince?
Who am I?
Yes.
Well, that's a broad question. But basically, I'm just a passionate person who really cares about people and quality.
No doubt.
In whatever I'm dealing with, whoever I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And I've always been kind of a big picture person, so I like to make sure that my thing is happening. But once I get that together and I feel confident about it, if I'm part of a project or part of something that's a whole, I kind of sit back and make sure that everybody else is good, so that the collective makes something that really works for everybody.
Yeah, and you've always been that. And I saw that in your brother. I know y'all have some good values, because Mark has always been an upstanding kind of cat, man, and you have always, been good to me and cool, that type of thing, man. So that's a testament, I guess, to your upbringing and those sort of thing, man. So
yeah, everything comes from our parents.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, do you come from a musical family?
In fact, yes. My mother and father both are musical. My father, he was a great singer.
What's his name?
Melvyn Prince. I'm the second.
Okay.
Yes.
He's senior or the first?
Senior. Melvyn
okay.
Prince Senior.
Okay.
And I'm Melvyn the second.
Okay.
But yeah, he and my mother met at Howard University.
HU.
You know. And he was the president of the choir.
Wow.
Howard University choir. And just for reference sake, Roberta Flack was his treasurer.
Really?
And so my mother, my father was, just before he graduated, he had gone to University of Illinois for a year, and then he transferred to Howard. Mm-hmm. And then he graduated from Howard, and my mother came to Howard early, 16, and they met in the choir.
Wow.
And,
your mom sings?
Yes, she sings, yeah.
Okay.
But she also played oboe and clarinet in high school.
Okay.
But she was an early achiever for everything. Like I said, she came to school, But the thing was, so between my mother and my father's a twin.
Wow.
And he met his wife in the choir also, and she was my mother's best friend in the choir. So, and she was from...
so your father's twin met your mother's best friend in the choir.
Yeah, so basically, yeah,
Wow.
The twins did all right.
Yeah.
But all of them were in music, and my aunt, she was a music education major and a singer and a pianist and teacher too.
Wow.
So anyway, between all of them, everybody who was anybody, specifically who came to Howard in the arts, was part of our life. So Roberta Flack, Donny Hathaway.
Wow. You got to see...
Harold Wheeler, Roxy Roker, Lenny Kravitz.
You saw Donny Hathaway before?
Did I see him?
Yeah.
I didn't see him technically because I was a youngin'.
I got you.
But the thing is, that's one person I never got a chance to deal with, unfortunately, because of his untimely death.
Yeah.
But I did get a chance to work with Roberta Flack,
Wow.
So it's just so much stuff to happen. Anyhow, we were just talking about musicals. So my parents, they loved and appreciated good quality music from across the board. So we had everything: classical music, spirituals, gospel, Then we had whatever current music was. And it was always, we were taken to concerts and just around it. We went to their concerts. Yeah.
Music was all around the house.
Oh my goodness. Craziness,
So you are a native Washingtonian?
Yeah, I'm a native Washingtonian, but technically I was born in Boston. Because what happened was my mother and father got married, and my mother got a scholarship to go to graduate school at the University of Boston. And my father, they went up there and got a place as, married graduate housing. And he was working and then also was in the Air Force Reserves. So basically, that's when I said, hey.
So are you the oldest of all your siblings?
I'm the oldest, yeah.
And you
There's
have
four of us.
Okay.
So, and we're all 3 years apart from each other.
Wow.
So it's me, then my brother Glenn, then my sister Beth, and then Mark.
Okay. Wow.
And me and Mark are the ones that do the arts professionally.
Yeah.
But everybody's musical.
Gotcha.
Everybody sings. And in fact, everybody, ironically, except for me, sang in the Howard Choir.
Wow.
Even my brother, because he went to graduate
That's right.
school.
I do remember Mark.
I'm talking about Glenn.
Didn't Mark
But
sing?
Mark did too.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying everybody.
Yeah.
Beth.
Yeah.
All of them.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they went on major trips and everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Did y'all come up in the church?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, we were the first black family at First Baptist Church, Washington, D.C. Back in, let's see, when was it? 1966, I believe, is when my parents joined the church. And I came as fast as I had some cognition.
Wow.
But, and that was the church on 16th and O. And that was the church that Jimmy Carter was associate member.
Wow. President Jimmy Carter?
Yeah,
Really?
president.
Wow.
When he was the president.
Oh, wow.
So, I got to hear him and meet him. I even got a chance to go sing at the White House.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't know you. We're going to talk. See, I didn't know you sang.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to talk about D.C. when you were coming up. First, I want to say, are you a Washington Commanders fan or you Cowboys?
Oh, come on, man. I'm super old school.
Yeah.
Washington football.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do not like that new name, Commanders.
Well, no, we're going to see if we can't work on changing it with the new ownership.
Okay.
So,
now did you have a problem with? Because I came when I got to D.C. 87, going to Howard. They were called the Redskins, the Skins. That's what I'm used to.
right.
And they won the Super Bowl that year. I remember us all being in Sutton Plaza, because going to HBCU, voting for the black quarterback.
Oh yeah, it was a perfect time for everything.
Yeah, so bad. I became, I'm gonna call it the Washington Football Team, out of respect. But we was called the Skin, and
Right.
and people and the Skins fans were down with their team. So why is it that some people born in D.C. but they become Dallas? Is it Dallas and Cowboys?
Well, the thing is, it's a lot of misinformation, basically. It's really too complicated to talk about. But the thing is, the history of the owner, way back in the day, George Preston Marshall. He unfortunately wasn't the most,
Yeah. People
He didn't treat brothers and sisters like they were supposed to. For history's sake, the Redskins, they were the first. excuse me, not the first, the last NFL team to have a black player.
Oh, wow.
So basically, that's the type of thing.
Okay.
But what happened was, so people got that in their minds, and they sent it through the years to their offspring. You know, kind of like them.
Yeah. I got you. Okay.
But the thing was, what they forgot was that once they got the black player, it was Bobby Mitchell.
Okay.
And then they ended up being the first team to have a black Super Bowl quarterback.
Wow.
You see?
Okay.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
times change, things happen.
Yeah.
We're talking about years and years and years.
No doubt.
So basically what happened, we're going to stop talking about this. The people, because of the tradition, they just got used to saying, I like Dallas. Because during the early 70s, you know, they were doing a lot of winning and everything.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of how they got into
past that kind of thing. Got past
situation.
Yeah.
But there's many, many, many more Washingtonians
No doubt.
who are down.
Yeah. I got. I just had to touch on that, man.
Yeah.
Now, what part of D.C. did you grow up in?
In Northwest Washington.
Okay. What was it like? What was D.C. like? Because you done experienced several eras of D.C. or several changes in D.C. When I got here, it was the Chocolate City.
Yeah.
It was very obvious. But what was it like for you coming up in D.C.?
Well, it was definitely Chocolate City. But this is my parents again. The thing was, we were the firsts in a whole lot of situations. In our neighborhood, basically, this was Upper Northwest, Shepherd Park. And our family was one of the first black families to come into the neighborhood.
Wow.
And then shortly after that, it became predominantly black.
Gotcha.
But like I said, our family integrated our church. I integrated my nursery school that I went to, Jessup Blair, right there on Georgia Avenue, just at the D.C. Silver Spring line. And so my whole thing was, I love, brothers and sisters. But the whole situation is about everybody being humans.
No doubt.
We don't have all this division.
No doubt.
But I love D.C. You can't be more proponent of D.C. Every part of it.
Yeah, I got you. No doubt.
I'm comfortable in every sector and have been and deal with all of it. So, yes.
So, were you? Do you remember D.C. prior to the Dr. Martin Luther King assassination? Because a lot changed after when the response.
Well, I mean,
to that.
when he was assassinated, I was 5 years old, and I remember. You really don't have much memory. You start having memories at 4 years old on out. But when I turned 4 years old, felt like I was a grown man. I was just like, hello, what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. So my parents just made sure that we were always treating people the way you wanted to be treated, and respect everybody. So, yeah, we could tell that there was a difference between races because that's what people said. But the thing was, people are people.
No doubt.
That's how we were raised.
Yeah.
And we had all sorts of people in our lives from day one.
So when I got to D.C., 1987, U Street and 14th was all run down. But the word I got, the Howard Theater was closed. But I would hear these stories of how this used to be a vibrant, part of the city.
Well, I can tell you just real quickly, what happened was 1968, assassination of Martin Luther King spurred riots in most of the major cities, but epicenter was D.C. So basically from 1968 up until 1981, most of that was just fairly desolate.
Wow.
For lack of a better word. And then what happened was, just before, probably in the in the late 70s, they decided they were going to build subway system. The first line of it opened, I believe it was like 1977, maybe. But what happened was the Green Line was the last one that was finished. And that meant they had to tear up all of U Street. And they were building under it.
Yeah.
So that's what you were feeling. What happened was, after the riots, then they started developing things, and it started taking shape really 1981.
Okay.
But then they started building the subway. So that meant that all of the streets and everything had all sorts of construction and mayhem and foolishness.
Yeah.
So that took a whole nother amount of years. So that's why when you came in 87, it looked like it was like that.
Yeah.
But you came right at the onset of everything starting to come to life again.
Yeah. Wow. So you also a historian. We're gonna add that to the mix too. Oh man. Now, I always like to ask, was there a particular decade that coming up in DC that resonates with you the most? Like, was the 70s, was the 80s, 90s, whatever. Was there a particular decade that you really, it was like, yo, I'm in love with DC?
It's not really a decade, but what it is that there's a channel of time. I'll say probably I'll make it into a decade's worth of, but from 1975 till 1985.
Okay.
Whew, that was the power channel right there. I'm talking about everything because it was a lot of change, but there was a whole lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk about anything, so I'm just following whatever you're talking about.
No, we're gonna get, this is important, because I know you, remember.
I mean, so,
you're a historian.
Is there something specifically you want to know?
Well, I just want to know, particularly, let's say the music, like, what was the black community like, in terms of like, were we all getting along, and was there love in the air? Were we? I know that 70s. I remember the 70s because I was a young cat, and it was just the music. I remember songs like Stevie Wonder. I believe the children are the future. Lean on Me. Those kind of songs were like really powerful
Well,
for me coming.
if you go on that extended power channel that I was talking about, but if you're just talking about the 70s, that was really the foundational situation for all music. Really, if you go from 1970 to 1979, that's where everything was.
Wow.
And I'm talking about drastic stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what's contained in there is like "Lean on Me," Bill Withers, right?
Michael Jackson came with Off the Wall.
Daggone Soul Makusa. Mama Cool, Mama High, Mama
Yeah.
That was 1972.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? You got Big Payback. You got 1975 is Chameleon.
Yeah.
You know, with the Headhunter.
Was Thriller in the 80s or was that late 70s?
Thriller was 1982.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Off
so.
the Wall was 70s.
But I'm saying up to '79, you basically the disco era started in 1976.
Okay.
So what that does is that gives you that it takes the tempo up, but it also makes music optimistic, and it wants to push you.
Gotcha.
So then you had everybody, you know, Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life, was 1977. You had, the Off the Wall album, which is really really better than Thriller. And that was 1979.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Man.
And that, you know, that has, and Stevie was big on that album because that's Can't Help It was on that album.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay? See, so you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Minnie Riperton.
Yeah.
Denise Williams. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The Emotions.
Yeah.
So I'm just showing you there's a billion things.
Yeah.
So from 1970 to 79, that's where everything is. Singer-songwriter music. You know.
Wow. Yeah, man.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Well, since we're talking about D.C., and I remember me, you, and Warren Shad having a conversation about the origins of go-go. Now, D.C. is known for go-go music. Do you recall how go-go evolved in D.C.?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the origin of go-go. I mean, all of this stuff, you know, unfortunately, I have so much stuff to say.
Go on, take your time.
But what happened was Chuck Brown used to play in a club type of band that fused R&B, blues, and Latin music. So that's what made the percussion situation, you know. I mean, that's just a foundation. So then what happened was this song just took everybody by storm. It was a song, Grover Washington song.
Mr. Magic?
Mr. Magic. Well, if you look at that and listen to it, that's a go-go song.
Yep.
And then what happened was it's perfectly built because it is, you know, humping your back groove, but yet it's beautifully written. It's a nice melody. It has a bridge.
Yeah.
and then a little extension on it. But all of it is underpinned with the
Yeah. Wow.
You see, so even though there was also that what you call a swing beat. We used to call it a sissy beat. You know. It's not. It's tighter than a shuffle. You see, that's basically what go-go is. So what happened was, all the bands, just regular bands of the day, they used to play top 40 music. So they play whatever the current song was. And then Chuck specifically used to break down.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, you mean music?
The songs going from one to the other.
Okay. Like an interlude between songs?
Yeah, he's like, so basically take out the bottom and just the percussion would be going.
Wow.
You know. And then or they would have a breakdown in the song. And what happened was the breakdown got to be more popular than the song that they were playing. They couldn't even remember what song it was.
Wow.
They just used that as
And people were dancing to it.
Yeah. So they were like, oh, bet, okay. So then what happened was everybody was playing Follow the Leader. And they started doing that. And the reason why it was called go-go was a term that was used literally for dancers that used to be in little cages at the clubs during this the late 60s, going into the 70s.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
So they were called go-go dancers. So then Chuck was like, hey, you know, we just keep this groove happening. It just keeps going and going and going. So that's why they took that term go-go.
Wow.
That's basically how all that stuff had. That's like an abridged version.
Yeah. Wow.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
So that's basically where that stuff came from.
And you saw this as you were coming up. You saw this evolution and where it's at now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm an old soul, but I'm still a young cat.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I was 4 years old, I was like, okay, I'm here now. So I was observing things and figuring it out, and then also listening to people talk about this is what happened and all of this stuff. So that's how everything happened. But I mean, I definitely remember in real time.
Yeah.
The cabaret bands, regular top 40 bands playing the regular current song. The people that were the foundational people was Experience Unlimited, EU, Rare Essence, Trouble Funk. And they all came out of The Godfather.
Wow.
Chuck Brown. Those are the people that established what go-go is.
Yeah.
They were just top 40 bands who were grooving. And then when they started flipping, where basically the whole breakdown pattern was more popular than playing the current song, that's when it became go-go.
Wow. See?
Yeah.
I knew you was a historian. So let's go back to your early music development. Did you study music formally coming up, or were you?
Yeah, I started. The first thing I did, I took drum lessons in the 4th grade, and you know, you're thinking, hey, you know, that would be real fun, but what you don't know is the first part of it is just getting a little rubber plastic practice pad and some sticks.
Yeah.
and you're going
rudiments.
paradiddles and all that. So I was like, okay, well, that's his hip. But, and then I said, you know what? I've always loved the trumpet. I love those sounds. My father, rest his soul, he passed away 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But he was a great mimic. He could make sounds of anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the things he used to really love imitating was a trumpet.
Wow.
So I grew up hearing that as a baby. And then when I was coming up also, the trumpet was on the front edge of everything. In pop music, Herb Alpert, Al Hurt, Flight of the Bumblebee.
Chuck Mangio.
Well, that was a little later, but I'm talking about when I was real little.
Okay.
So I was like, man, that's some serious stuff. And then I would hear the trumpets playing in the horn section of songs. Da 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 da. You know.
Yeah.
You know, or Hollywood Swinging and Jungle Boogie and Ohio Players, you know. So anyhow, that's what really made me get into wanting to play trumpet. So anyway, I started taking trumpet lessons in the 5th grade, and I was part of the DC Youth Orchestra program.
Oh, wow.
And they had beginning, preparatory, and then you would graduate out of those levels into elementary band or orchestra, junior band or orchestra, and then senior winds and DC Youth Orchestra.
Wow.
So that was a beautiful program that used to happen on every Saturday of the month, and it was housed at Coolidge High School.
Wow.
So I started that when I was in 5th grade, and that's when I started playing trumpet. And I progressed all the way through to DC Youth Orchestra level. Then after that, I went to University of Hartford, Hart School of Music.
Wow.
I went there for 2 years.
Okay. So we're going to talk about your college days.
Okay.
But did you play trumpet in school, like the school bands?
Yes.
What schools did you go to? Like,
I went to Alice Deal Junior High.
Okay.
And then I went to Wilson.
Which is
after
right
that,
across the.
Which is now a different name.
Yeah. Wilson is different. They have a different name.
They just changed it to Jackson Reed. And that's because, which is a good reason, but I had another thing that they could have done. But Woodrow Wilson, unfortunately, he was one of the most racist presidents there was.
I got you. So that, okay.
So, which is great. They're now finally doing that, but that's why they changed the name. Okay. And Jackson Reed is named after Vincent Reed, who was a principal at Wilson, the first black principal, and then also, not the first black principal, the first principal, one of the principals, but he also was the superintendent of the schools of D.C. And then Jackson was, I believe her name is Edith. I'm not sure exactly what her first name is. She was the first black teacher at Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, wow.
So that's the reason why it's called Jackson Reed now.
So did you also, you were playing trumpet, were you also singing in choir, in church and that kind of thing?
Yes, I used to, wasn't so much at church, but I used to sing in the choirs, gospel choirs, and I used to do the male solos in junior high school.
Now, were you singing baritone? So
Bass.
Bass? So you remind me of like the light-skinned version of Barry White.
People have been saying that for a long time. That's hilarious, man.
That's a good thing, though.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
That Barry was one of the most beautiful people there was. He never got the due that he needed. I mean, he just left, and they just act like, okay.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. He was. I mean, he wonderful, beautiful songs, man. I heard something he did with Pavarotti, man, like on YouTube, man. It was just.
Oh yeah.
One of our greats, man. Was there a particular teacher that had the biggest impact on you?
There's a couple of them, but in terms of the singing, there was a teacher at Alice Deal Junior High named Lois Nicholson.
Okay.
And she was wonderful, you know. The thing was, you know, even though I had a little talent, I'm a very shy person when it comes to performance.
Okay.
I have to kind of, you know, get it out there, you know.
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh, yeah, you gonna do this.
Yeah. She pushed you.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And then I would always, and they would always kind of have a little battle because the band and the singing many times was at the same period.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, he's going to be in choir. No, he's not. He's going to be. So then they gotten smart and said, we're just going to have it change so that, because of many students, if you really check it out, the instrumentalists are pretty good singers and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
But trumpet was your instrument where your heart was?
Yeah, trumpet's my instrument.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what kind of music were you listening to coming up? I know you said everything was playing, but what music attracted you, like, resonated with you, like when you were coming up?
I really, you know, I'm not just being coy. All I care about is that it's of quality, that it's good. You know.
But you're able to appreciate all different genres.
Yeah, I really do. Wow. I'd say, you know, if you have to, I like to have things that have a jazz aesthetic.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's a little spontaneity or a little syncopation or, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Inside of whatever you're doing.
Gotcha, yeah.
But, no, I mean, I love, like trumpet, I love the fanfares. You know, I love that, or, you know, as much as, you know, somebody really, even though I really appreciate it, I don't care about playing a whole ton of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
It's not about that. I'm about the melody. And stating things with beautiful sound.
Yeah.
And honor.
Yeah. So you were into jazz, like straight ahead jazz and trained, and that's were you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I loved everything that was of quality. So
Gotcha.
I like a pop song. I probably came a little bit later to straight ahead. I wasn't dividing it up. That's why I'm saying.
I got you. Okay.
You know, so I loved. Oh man, I mean, you were talking about Chuck Mangione earlier. You know, I really liked what he was doing. I love what Herb Alpert was doing. I love what Miles Davis was doing. One day I was just listening, and to the time that it just clicked, like, oh man, this is just ridiculously great. I was listening to Miles Davis, Porgy and Bess, because I love vocally and in terms of the writing, Porgy and Bess, you know.
Yeah.
And when he interpreted, it was like I can see and hear exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And when you listen to him play, it's not like you're listening to a trumpet player play the trumpet and this is how it sounds. It sounds like this is Miles talking to you and living,
Yeah.
you know.
Were you a record collector?
Yeah, well, see, that goes into, I'm a foundational DJ.
Oh, wow.
So
that means yes.
Yeah,
We're gonna talk about that. You do a lot of things. So what were you chasing as a kid? Like, what was your vision? Like, when you said I want to be and we're gonna talk about you as a producer, engineer, fashion cat, you know. But as a kid, what were you? Did you know? Like, I want to be a trumpet player. I want to be this. What were you chasing?
Well, I've always been a big picture person.
Okay.
So that means it sounds like something that I just say to say, but it's true. All I care about is quality and people showing each other true humanity.
Yeah.
And then everything works out.
Okay.
Do the best you can. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And I applied that to the things that I liked and what I like to do. So, for instance, way back in grade school, I loved music, the popular music. And so when I knew that they existed, I would, get the little 45s. And back in the day, they used to have those little duotone record players. You remember? In school where the lid was the speaker. So you took the lid off and then you... So what would happen, way back in second grade, when it would rain, we couldn't go out for recess. But what they did was they would put us in the auditorium, which was also a multi-purpose room. And I would ask the teacher, I said, "Excuse me, could I use the record player and bring some?" They were like, "Yes, you can, Melvyn." So I would get the record player, and I had a little case of about 10 45s. And I would bring those and so people playing dodgeball and doing stuff, and I'm playing whatever the big hit was.
Wow.
So people were like, "Oh, Mel is over there doing it," and make everybody happy. Man, remember I told you I was shy too.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can I be part of stuff?
Yeah.
But and help to control things, but not act like I have to just interact with everybody all the time.
Wow.
So I was playing those records, and that's where the real music stuff came from.
Wow, that's heavy.
You know.
So that makes sense. So you say that you were a DJ? I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that was the origins of that. Yeah.
I remember when DJing was a big thing in probably in the 70s, but definitely in the 80s because hip hop was coming.
That's the whole thing. That's why I'm saying I was foundational with it, because there was no such thing. There was no such thing as a DJ. This is the progression, real quick. What I was doing, and people had house parties.
Yep.
So you just had your little 45s, And if you were lucky, you had a nice console at the house.
Yeah. Yep.
And so my job that I gave myself was I was the one in control of the music that was played at the little house parties.
You enjoyed making people dance and them enjoying the music that you,
Yeah. It's so, and then that way, like I said, I'm doing something, I'm part of the party, I'm popular and stuff, but I don't have to run around trying to, you know, or being scared about, oh, this little Susie over there. Somehow they would make their way over to me. So that was the origins of that. But then what happened, so people don't understand, but there was things called discotheques. The first discotheque started in like 75, and there was a person that had a big system, and then they used to have 2 turntables, and then they had a basic thing that they used as a mixer. But basically, the only reason why they had stuff was so when one record would go, they could then turn on another one. Gotcha. There was no even crossfade.
Yeah, wow.
This is before that. But those were discotheques.
Wow.
And all before that, if you wanted to dance in a club or whatever, it was all live music.
Wow.
So 75-esque, 74, 75, people were like, hey, if we get a nice sound system and have a little intimate thing, we can have little drinks and stuff, and we can have one person play the music without having to have all these musicians and stuff.
Wow.
So that was the origin of a DJ. So then what happened was, gradually, that got to be more refined. And the electronics, they started making circuitry so that you could fade one signal into another signal.
Wow.
And then, so that was the origins of DJs. And then, Newmark, I believe, it was Clubman Meter. They made a really refined version of that they used in the discotheques. And then the Newmark Corporation made one for commercial use to sell out in the stores. And that was the impetus for this thing called DJs outside.
Wow.
Okay. So I was in front. I was at all of that stuff.
Did you ever do the block parties and all that? Any block parties?
I did some block parties.
Because I remember coming up, man, we had the house parties. Somebody would say it's going to be a party at somebody's house, and everybody crowded in the little basement, and then we would have block parties. I mean, they'll section off the street, and everybody's in the street dancing, and I remember when hip hop evolved, like with the boom 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 boom. You remember? I know you remember that.
Absolutely. Well, basically, 1979, 80 is when the first rappers.
Sugar Hill
raps,
Gang,
yeah, but that was the first one to solidify. There was a couple of them before that.
Oh, okay.
Like Spoonie G. And I was right on the top of all of that stuff. Really? Because I was like, man, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, man.
All of that. But see, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I said 1970 to 79, every kind of music, not only that you care about, but that exists, modern music was formed and or solidified.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. It was.
And that was the origins of that.
Yeah. What I liked about, and you probably could say this, probably the same thing with go-go, hip hop, the early stages of it. The community validated it. It wasn't the popular music of the time.
Right.
We had like people in the superstars that would just lived in the community. This person could dance, this person could rap. They would have rap battles and all this type of thing. But it was a thing that it was very communal, probably like how jazz evolved. And there was no jazz Grammys, and it was the community validated it. In fact, I think the music industry probably looked down on, or they say, because rock. I remember rock and all that, and pop was the big thing. But and just to see where this, it's going in a lot of jazz. Rap and hip hop is going in a lot of different directions. But to watch how it evolved showed me that we validated something that we created within the community, and it just.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
The thing is, and you're absolutely right. Look, the thing isn't called hip hop just because people wanted to say that. It was a play off of bebop. So they're cousins. It's the exact same type of thing, just a little different usage. Yeah. But it's the same same energy, everything. It was from the community. You take something that already existed and make it into a whole nother art form by doing this thing and that thing. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
I say the bebop cat, we call each other cats. Hip hop call each other dogs. But
there you go. Some people are cat people, some people are dog people.
That's my dog. It is the same. They had nicknames.
Yes.
50 Cent.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And people know that.
Yeah.
People don't really realize it, but they know it inside of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you went to college and you first went to Hartford.
Yeah, I was University of Hartford, Hart School of Music.
What made you choose the University?
Well, the thing was, like I always say, I care about quality. And also, I'm a big picture person. And I like and love a lot of stuff. So I didn't always want to be, pigeonholed into one specific thing.
Okay.
So University of Hartford was perfect because it was a small, relatively private, liberal arts college, but it housed a music conservatory. So I can have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
Basically, University of Hartford they took two schools that already existed by themselves and then made a curriculum. In fact, three schools. And then they made it under one umbrella and made it into a university. But it was a Hart Conservatory of Music, Ward Technical School, and then the Hartford Art School, like
Is
fine
that
art.
Jackie
Yes,
okay.
That was one of my main people. That's the other reation. So you're getting ahead of yourself.
You was over there with Jackie?
Yes.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying. I kind of humbly but firmly call myself like the hip Forrest Gump because I happen to be everywhere with all these people at the right time.
Wow.
I don't know how it happened.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there. I went up there in 1981.
Wow.
I was with Jackie McLean, okay?
Wow.
And daggone Paul Jeffries, who was Thelonious Monk's last musical director.
Wow.
He was teaching at Rutgers at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to be the director of the Jazz Lab Band.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole nother thing. But anyhow, so basically, that's how I picked University of Hartford, because I could go to a school, but then also get the special care that you get at a conservatory.
Yeah.
So I was an arts and sciences major in the whole university. So I took classes at different parts. I wasn't just in the conservatory all the time.
Gotcha.
So I like to be in it, but not of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then you went to Maryland, University of Maryland?
I went to Hartford for 2 years. Then I transferred to University of Maryland for 2 years. And I was doing radio, TV, and film there.
Oh, wow.
And then I got a recording engineering certificate from I got brain lock. What's the name of the studio? Omega.
Okay.
Omega, which, look, used to be right up that street. This is the original.
Oh, wow.
This is 1985. People don't even know that.
Yeah.
It was a little studio right up in Kensington.
Yeah.
Just up at the top of Howard Street,
Because
where
we used
we
to
are.
record that. The jazz ensemble, I think, used to record at Omega.
That was the new one in Rockville.
Yeah, I remember doing
That's
that.
the new built-out one. But anyway, so I got a certificate for advanced engineering there, and then I went to UDC, and I finished up there.
Okay.
And I used to play lead trumpet
in
the
the band?
big band with Calvin.
Under Mr. Calvin Jones?
Yeah.
Wow. What was it like working with Mr. Jones?
Oh, man.
I know he...
Love him. He was just a trip.
Yeah.
He used to, he had nicknames for everybody, right? And so he had a nickname for me. He's Dervin, the Prince of Darkness. He said, damn it, Prince, the Prince of Darkness.
That's Mr. Jones right there.
Play that down.
Yeah.
Right.
So who was that? Who was, when you got to UDC, who was some of the
I
cast?
was there through the whole situation, because when I got there, Mike Bowie and Nasser and that whole crew was just leaving.
Okay.
And Mike Bowie went out to go play with Betty Carter, and he was also doing the what's the name brothers,
Harper Brothers,
and all that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my core people was Tracy Cutler, Kenny Dickerson, Yusef, and everybody who's anybody was
my
there.
Man, my man was trumpet.
Keith Mathis.
Keith Mathis.
Keith Mathis. And I mean, just everybody who's anybody.
Yeah.
All the people that you ever think about it. You know, I was, and Corey, and she was teaching and everything, and rest his soul, Ron.
Ron Sutton? Okay.
No, not Ron Sutton.
Oh,
Ron went to Ron Compton.
Yeah.
Yes, Ron Compton was playing drums, and what's the name was there? Duport, and
wow,
and Bruce.
Okay, yeah.
He was there, and then both of them
Kelvin
transferred
Montgomery.
up. Kelvin, Nathaniel. I mean, it's so many people.
Gillespie.
Yeah. Daggone.
Gillespie.
He had two different nicknames. You used to call him Diz, and then you used to call him 49 because that was the chart number for something that he used to always try to want to play. So Jones said, "Damn it, 49." Kick that down. And you know, he was playing all sorts of stuff. He was playing trombone, he was playing saxophone.
Yeah,
you
had
know,
that perfect pitch.
Before he
Yeah.
he really went back to playing all the keyboard stuff, dealing with the gospel stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So he does everything.
Yeah, he's one of them kind of cats.
We're kind of similar, you know. He was like the Melvyn Prince at Deal and then coming in. He was always after me, you know.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, man, boy. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful experiences up there.
Let's talk about you as a music producer. It's a rhetorical question, I guess, but how did you get into music production? Like, what? It has something to do with the big picture.
There you go. You said it. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Basically, I've always been a producer because I like to make sure that the collective is good. Then we all shine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I want to look good and sound good and be good or whatever. But the thing is, I could be perfect, and if somebody's sitting next to me or you're tripping, then we're all messed up, right? So, you know, but also it's about I care about people and I care about quality. I want stuff to be right.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
So is there a particular thing sonically as a producer, and I guess this will get into you as a mixer engineer, that you want to hear or that for you makes for a great production of a song or a record, whatever?
Well, the first thing is going back a little bit. When we say producer, what that means is that's a big picture person that wants to bring a vision into fruition. Okay? It's not, this is what it's become lately because of, you know, all of the craft and all that stuff. When you say producing, that means making tracks and beats and all that. That has nothing to do with anything.
Gotcha.
The producer is like the director of a film.
Okay.
He or she brings whatever the wish is or the goal of the project to fruition.
Gotcha.
That's what a producer is. In fact, in the Grammys, in the listing, it says nothing about tracks and this and all of that stuff. But the thing was, dealing with music all this time, I would always see the correlation. I'd read the liner notes, and it said produced by. And then I'd see another project that I love, and I looked down, I'm like, oh, produced by, and it's the same person.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, this producing thing, that is integral.
Yeah.
And that's what they are.
Yeah.
They sit back, and they're like, yeah, Antonio, I like what you're doing on that, but maybe we could rest in that midsection and then come back with a vengeance in the outro. You see what I'm saying? That's producing.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to play different roles. You might have to create the arrangement, right?
There you go. The thing is, a producer is a big picture person, but he or she can be a musician. an engineer, a technical person, a writer, or they can just have a
psychologist.
Look, you're laughing and stuff, but that's one of my main things that I talk about. The arts in general and music specifically, 60% psychological. The other 40% is the physical craft of it.
Yeah.
Because what you have to do, you have to emote to the audience. You have to have a conversation with the people that you're performing with. And then you have to go into yourself, in your psyche, and figure out, what am I feeling?
Yeah.
How do I want to express what I'm trying to do? That's why it's 60%. It's very, very important.
How do you deal with artists that may be emotional, and when they become emotional, they may get withdrawn? Do you have any strategies that you use, like to bring the best out of an artist?
Yes, well, one of the things is I make analogies to other parts of life. Not just talking specifically in the idiom of music or whatever we're trying to do. So like, maybe you're playing something and I say, just think about, what's a good food? What's a food that you like? I'm acting it out. He said, man, I love some, some collard greens or something. I said, man, when you play that last section, think about them collard greens that your mom made. Yeah. And you be like, whoo. But things like that,
Yeah. Now, as a producer, sometimes you might deal with an artist that knows nothing about music. Like they might be a great singer, so they need somebody to like find the musicians. They need somebody to help them with the song, because you've done some songwriting as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Arrange the song and that sort of thing. Have you worked with singers that you had to actually use all those?
Thankfully, I possess all of those. And what I try to do is, just like you're saying very astutely, is assess the situation, the person. And I just go right to them. And everybody's at different levels. So that you have to figure out, okay, how am I interacting with them? Some people are just like, look, I'm just here. I can sing, but I don't know what's going on. So then I'm like, okay. And then I just, just gently suggest, well, I know a saxophone player, Antonio. I think he'd be perfect for it. And that's how these things happen. Or, arranging and stuff. But what I try to do is I gently guide.
Yeah.
And then some people, they're like, look, tell me. And then I'm like, I'll go a little harder.
Even if it's your brother Mark on drums?
Well, the thing is, we really communicate on a higher and lower level. So what I'll do, I'll let him be his full self. And then if I see something, I'll say, what do you think about that? And then he'll like, yeah, that's kind of. Yeah. I said, well, what about, and he's like, yeah, same type of thing. You have to figure out how you finesse certain people, and certain, depending on what kind of context you're in.
Yeah, beautiful. Are there any particular productions or records that you're most proud of, like that you know, like I really put my foot in that? Say all of them.
Well, the thing is, I just try to do the best I can to make things, remain classic and timeless.
Yeah. Like
I want to be proud of it.
Yeah. I haven't listened. I listened to Debbie Kirkland's In Session CD that we did. Like I haven't listened to that in years, and it's still. What's that? The slow one. Who?
Oh yeah.
Man, that joint had just got a vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you know, yeah. It sounds timeless.
Well, that's what we're going for,
All right, man. We almost through this, man. Now you're also. Let's talk about how'd you get in the. You said you do fashion.
Yeah. I'm in the fashion industry realm, and I have a lot of respect for it. I do that I'm basically a DJ and technical advisor for live fashion shows.
Okay. So you have your name. You are pretty well known in this area because you've done a lot of venues.
Well, people know me. Many people know me for one specific aspect, and I'm trying to get most people to now know that I just deal with a whole lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Like some people just know me as, a fashion show DJ. That's where our interaction comes from. Some people know me from, doing technical work and stuff in theater.
Yeah.
And then some people know me from, mixing live sound. And then some people know me as producing.
Yeah.
And then some people know me from playing trumpet more back. I don't really play much anymore,
Yeah, but I see you get around because I see you on that, whether you're doing sound or, and that sort of thing, man. What are some of the venues in the area that you have worked at?
Oh, man. Really, it's hard. It's harder to say. It's easier to say the ones that I haven't. But I've literally mixed concerts at Constitution Hall, Carter Barron, which hopefully is going to come back. Merriweather Post Pavilion, Warner Theater, Birchmere.
I know you do Blues Alley.
Yeah. Bohemian Caverns. It's hard. It's the only major venue that I haven't done is the Filene Center at Wolf Trap.
Yeah, I heard that.
And I'm going to be. Hopefully that'll happen. I just haven't been working. But I've done AFRAM festivals and outdoor. I even mixed a concert at the opening of what is now Capital One.
Wow.
It was literally an outdoor concert.
Yeah.
And they walked in the first function there. It was MCI Center.
Wow, yeah, I remember that.
When that.
Yep. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
So, and now Blues Alley is one of our premier jazz clubs in the area. And I know you do sound for all the people that come in it. And are there any memorable concerts that you've been doing set at Blues Alley that really it's wow? Because I know you've heard a lot of music, but a lot of people come through Blues Alley, man, and like my man Kenny Garrett, I heard him last time. I was just
Yeah, I mean, it's just been so many people and so long. I try to make all of them memorable.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's not just a stock answer. The first, this is how long stuff's been happening. The first gig I ever did at Blues Alley was 1985. This is 2023.
Wow.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Still in college. And ironically, that was a vocalist. I'm going to need to call her and get her back to them. Her name is Julie Hall. Have you ever heard of her?
I know Julie. She used to work with Vince, I think. Julie Hall.
Yeah, did a couple of things with Vince, right. So you caught the tail end.
Yeah.
But and I also I played a flugelhorn solo at the board. I was mixing and doing Lazy Afternoon.
Really?
and you know, without anybody knowing, then the break comes and I just put the announce microphone.
Wow. Yeah.
That was sweet.
You still practice trumpet?
I haven't played in a while.
Yeah, because that's one of the instruments you gotta.
Well, no, that's the whole thing. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd love to try to get it back up.
Yeah.
Just so I could put my little 2 cents in. Like when we did that record, I hadn't played for a long time.
Yeah.
So I had to play to get back together.
Wow.
But it came out good, didn't it?
Yeah.
You were smoking on that thing. Yeah, man. But, oh, man, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So how'd you learn how to mixing it? Like as a mixing engineer, how'd you learn that craft?
Well, like I said, I went to recording engineering at Omega, and that was for recording and everything. But then what happened was I used to go to concerts and I was like, oh, y'all sound crazy. And I know the musicians and everything, and I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's not getting translated out here. And to tell you the truth, I mean, up until the last 25 years, you couldn't hardly find any brothers or sisters, anybody that wasn't, white male, doing any production stuff. Wow. I remember way back in the day, I used to go, as a young person, you go to Chuck Levin's, right? And they used to have the sound room in the main store part. One so big where it was all these separate places. Everything was contained in that little store.
Yep.
And you come in there, and they'd start just looking. Can I help you? I was like, yeah, I want to look. Okay, well, you might not want to touch that. Oh, what you need? Try to point you to some PV powered mixer or something. I was like, and then the prices were exorbitant.
Yep.
So basically they had musicians and day-to-day people just dealing with these little pieces of nothing. And then what happened is, let's see, what year was that? It's probably about 80, right when you came. Maybe just before that, Mackey Company, they came out with a professional 16-channel mixer that was inline mixer. It was a pro thing for less than $1,000.
Wow.
And
that was a game changer?
opened up everything.
Wow.
You know, because people are like, oh, that's what's going on. And so what happened? That basically that came with the advent of everything getting smaller and the advent of the digital situation. I'm not talking about a digital board. I'm talking about digital circuitry and all of that stuff. But anyhow, what I'm saying is you have to want anything that you want to do. You got to go after it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You need to. I have to say this. I have to give him credit too. Glenn Tapscott. You know Glenn?
I don't know.
A brother, a little bit older than me. He was the first brother that I saw really doing engineering and stuff. He was working for the recreation department. And they used to put on big performances during the summertime. And at Tacoma Theater, it's now like store things, but that was a little theater right there diagonally across from Tacoma Station.
Okay.
This is back in
I know
the
what you're talking about.
early
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
So I saw that he was doing it, and it was peers and everything. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, this is an option here. You know, so I kind of went into all of that stuff, you know.
So do you like you mentioned, like the Mackie with all this with technology now? Everything can be in a computer. Or do you like the big board where you can?
Oh, well, that's the whole thing. It's the best of times and the worst of times, because the great thing about analog is that you understand the principles and the foundations of what you're doing and why something does so, whatever. In the digital realm, it's beautiful because this little piece of something is taking away having 26 racks of stuff and all sorts of big craziness, but it's counterintuitive because you can do 26 different moves, 26 different ways, because you're pressing a button and doing a fader, and it's all smoke and mirrors.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? It's not literal,
Gotcha.
you know. So,
which one do you prefer?
I mean, I always prefer just having an analog situation where, like, if I turn this knob this way, it's going to go up and it's going to deal with these frequencies. However, if you get the chance and the time to stay on a digital board and understand how it is rooted, then the sky's the limit. What you do is you use it for all its facility, but you approach everything as though you were on an analog board.
Gotcha.
And then that way it works beautifully.
Yeah. It remind me, it's like it's good to start analog and then get into digital.
Absolutely.
When most people will start when we start digital, so they don't have the benefit of.
Well, that's the whole thing. That's why I'm saying that's why we have a lot of people who they're kind of quick, but you take them off of that specific piece of equipment, then they're like, wait a minute, where? where's the bright plate plus 2?
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, no. All of this stuff, all this sound and everything is just about frequencies and increments of plus or minus. Wow. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, for instance, all of these, apps or patches or this or that you think you have to have. You can make anything be anything. You have to understand what the ingredients are to do it.
So you have a healthy respect for technology?
Oh, I love the technology, but I love the technology if you understand the principles.
Gotcha. I got a few more questions. I want to talk about the music industry. What do you think of the music today? I mean, from your sonic thing, and just in general, what do you think? I know what you can say in terms of the what they're saying. Some of this music, what they're saying is it doesn't have any substance. I would assume you was, but just as a producer, when you hear the music today, what's your feelings?
Well, the thing is this. You can't really say that all the music today is like this. I mean, all music exists. I understand what you're getting to, though. Yeah. The specific things that the corporations are trying to push to get money, most of it I really don't give much respect to. But there's elements of it that, I appreciate. But to tell you the truth, all of the stuff that is supposedly today's music was created and built and fully explored from 1970 to 79.
Wow.
The only difference between today and then is the literal sonic situation, the digital realm, and the way that it is packaged and promoted.
Wow.
You see? I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, for instance, the whole, starting with really the 90s, what was supposed to be, R&B, let's just take that for a thing. All of that, that's when a thing called sampling was invented. You're literally taking something that was created between 1970 and 79, I mean, physically, taking that, playing it again, and then adding maybe a little bit of something on top of it, or redirecting something. So I call it conveyor belt music. It's already, the conveyor belt is the track that you're taking already, and then you just throw something on top of it to get to the end of the line. The problem is that people are packaging it as though they created it.
Yeah. Wow.
And all of the real energy, some people are adding something that makes some sense, but for the most part, you're getting the benefit of all of those vibrations that were created by the original people.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So that's the whole thing. Now, let me say the positive thing is that much of the music didn't get its real due when it first came out. And so what happened from the 90s on is, let's say they sampled the 8 bars. That just shows you can have an entity that can live and be whole, taking just a little snip of the DNA of what was already there. So that shows you the power. But then what it does is it also focuses you back on those people again. You see what I'm saying? So I give full credit to the people who have good taste and then sprinkle an extra paprika on it. So I'll give them enough credit.
Gotcha.
But the thing is, man, you got to know where the source is.
No doubt. All right. What artists of today that you like? Are there some artists like that really, today's artists that you really dig?
You mean just in terms of
just
their whole thing, or
like it could be Beyonce, Rihanna. I mean, is there an artist that really resonates with you? Like Michael Jackson might have resonated with people, young people of his time.
There's some people out there that are doing some nice stuff, but it's just really, let's say, who do I like? Who are you? I mean, when you say today, are you talking about right now?
Well, it could be, like Rihanna or Beyonce. I mean, these little new people, I don't even know who I don't even know.
Okay, well, right. So, I mean, yeah. I like these people.
Like Alicia Keys, you like?
Yeah, let me just say, all these people that you named, I respect all of them, and they have good things. But, like, I don't just get shivers when I hear, Rihanna or Beyonce or anything. I respect what they're doing. Now, I'll tell you, I like Jill Scott.
Okay.
I mean,
Gotcha.
I like Jasmine Horn. You know who's?
What about Jasmine Sullivan? You ever heard of her?
I mixed Jasmine Sullivan when she first came out, 16 years old. I've worked with everybody.
Wow.
I think that one, she's unbelievable, but she's kind of contoured herself. She's imitating what she thinks she was trying to be in the context of where she found herself. How about, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know the real.
Wow.
And she was unbelievable.
Wow.
I literally mixed her when she first, nobody knew who she was.
Wow.
16-year-old girl at Tacoma Station.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm there at the inception of everybody. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? I like Gregory Porter.
Okay.
I like, there's a lot of people that I love, there's people I'm not thinking of right now, but and you're talking about sing. I mean, there's players, there's everything.
It could be jazz. I mean, do you listen to hip hop?
Yeah, I mean, I know some people from that too. The newer stuff, there's not much of anything going on. Yeah. I like what's the name is doing. He really is, because he's a throwback with a new twist. Anderson .Paak.
Okay.
He's doing some stuff.
Okay.
Man, I got so much stuff in my brain. I can't.
But do you keep your ear
saying
to the
things.
Do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You keep your ear
In fact,
to the ground.
you're asking beautiful questions.
Mm-hmm.
What I do, I call it auditing. You know how you audit a class in college? It's like you're not getting a grade, but you can kind of come in and say, I figuratively audit everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't want to do it, I just do. Like, for instance, I hadn't done it in years because I know there's nothing on there that I want to hear. It's crazy. I was listening to WKYS, which was foundational. And when was the last time you ever listened to them? Have you ever listened to WKYS?
Man, you know it's funny. I don't listen.
It's like it doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
Well, but I needed to hear what is parading itself as R&B hip hop now. And it told me exactly the reason why everybody's acting like they're crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Yeah.
there was not one song where they couldn't part bleep or, were emphasizing some old trifling street stuff.
Yeah.
Even the announcers were talking in street code.
Yeah. That's the thing, man. It's like, that's why I asked you.
So I felt so sorry because I'm like, so this is what 15 to 21-year-olds are getting a constant diet of? I couldn't believe it.
Man, they got a video that, and I think it won some award. It's called WAP.
Oh, I know about it, yeah.
You know what WAP stand for?
Mm-hmm.
Wet ass poo-tang.
Yes.
And I'm like, and it has all this symbolism and I mean, and so I'm looking at, when I ask you, like, what do you think about the music today? There's a lot of good music, like, but the message is that I teach elementary school. And this music affects or infects.
That's good, very good.
These young people, man, and especially that gangster stuff, man. And I don't, and this is how I look at it. I remember, when I was coming up, number one, like I told you, hip hop was just growing. It was a new thing.
Yeah.
It was, it was positive. It was party music. Then there was a period where you're heading for self-destruction, fight the power.
Right.
It was, jazz was, we had that, Winton was bringing jazz to young people. And so it was a real, like, renaissance of positive music. I mean, and so then somewhere in the 90s, middle 90s, NWA, and then the East Coast, West Coast, then the music started taking on another thing. And they start cutting labels, like they start cutting jazz stations, all the positive stuff. The record companies were getting rid of, Columbia got rid of Wynton Marsalis, Columbia Records. And all of a sudden, man, this music just like, they wouldn't play certain stuff on the radio,
right,
or on TV.
Yeah, it's supposed to be against FCC.
Exactly, man. So when I see all this stuff, man, Nas X giving Satan a lap dance, and when I see these images and stuff, man, I do believe that it was done intentional.
Most definitely. To lower the moral fiber of society. And as a teacher, I see the negative impact that it's having. Our culture used to be powerful, like impactful, like you said, Lean on Me, those songs, I Believe the Children Are the Future, but these kids are getting something. Now they got this stuff, man, with these kids, man,
I'm gonna be here, and they go around and killing me. Man, it's crazy.
I totally agree with everything you said. And basically, what you have to do is the first thing, which is what you're doing, and what I try to do is you have to be an example of quality. And you have to show people true humanity.
No doubt.
You cannot get caught in all of this foolishness that parades as a society. There's only two problems in the world: greed and selfishness. That's what causes everything. What you're talking about is the outcome of a few greedy, selfish people trying to get quick money
At the expense of
at the expense of everyone else. And the thing is, what we have to remember, though, as human beings is no one is greater or lesser than any of us.
Yes.
So you have to do what you're supposed to do in life.
Yes.
It's your responsibility.
No doubt.
There's no such, they come up with all these left, right, all of that stuff, conservative, this, that, gay, straight, all that. The only thing is right and wrong.
There you go. Good and evil.
And there you go. That's it. And the thing is, what you don't personally judge anybody. All you can do is be an example of quality and true humanity. And you apply that to whatever situation you're in. Because you will drive yourself crazy if you try to deal with specific little oh, well, the plague and the this and these people and this is a problem. Nah, all of it's just one big problem, just like you said, good and evil.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the thing about it, these people don't know why they're doing these acts. But it's because they keep getting fed all of this stuff. It's not just music. I mean, it's daily life. Like, for instance, even the way that the news is constructed. Have you noticed they always say, breaking news? The thing is, they'll say breaking news because they know it's a lure to get people first in anxiety on what they hear next, and then also it'll get them trying to listen. But the thing is, they'll say breaking news, and it's something that happened at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then they got 26 different segments of it.
Wow.
You talking about crying wolf.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you, as a person, you have to cleanse yourself. So you literally do not turn it on.
Yeah. I got rid of my TV. I don't watch news. What I like about the internet is that I can choose what I want to check out.
Yeah.
I got all my channels. I literally don't watch TV. So my thoughts are somewhat under my control. I mean, that's why they call it TV program. But I know people, man, they walk in and the TV's just programmed. It's just wide. I don't listen to none of that stuff, man.
Yeah.
But do you think that we can use music and the arts to turn this stuff around, to get our community and our country back to that positivity, that thing that
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, that's perfect. A little while back, you were talking about sonically and stuff. That's the main reason why I mix. My instrument, I turn my instrument into the board.
Yeah.
And I literally play that. I even made a name up for it. So you'll hear me saying it. But when you see me mixing the show, I'm mixing and live producing. That's what I'm doing. So you're talking, all the stuff we were talking about producing, I'm doing it in real time. Wow. So when we do these functions, I'm making a living record. And the thing is, the way that I make the whole sound and then specifically present you or whoever, like we were just doing the gig
at the
Friday, right? And I know people came up to you and talked about how they loved what you were saying, didn't they?
Yeah, no doubt.
And, I'm making, so I know everything in life is merely vibrations.
Yeah. Well,
sound and light.
Well, musicians, we be like, you got to keep the sound man happy. Because he can make or break you.
That's true. But the thing is, I am the musician. I am the sound man. I am the producer.
Yes.
I am the patron of the arts. When Mel Prince comes someplace, you're getting all that I have done and will do. From all aspects in real time. And that's what I do.
Are you still growing in this music?
You learn every day, every time you come out. But I'll have to say, this is probably one of the best times in my life because I'm appreciative of the opportunities. People are appreciative of me. Many times I had to kind of, make this happen because unfortunately people don't really understand that all of this stuff is a team effort.
Yeah, no doubt.
Musicians specifically, they thought we just show up at the venue and look for the microphone and just start playing. And if it happens, happens. If it don't, it don't. And then the technical person, many times they're like, I'm just looking at the thing. If it's not in the red, that means it's right. And I don't have to do more or less. Or if nobody complains, I guess it's okay. And I just turn my brain off and stuff. And that's wrong. It's about everybody being the best that they can be, being of quality in real time. And always do that.
Yeah, no doubt.
You don't.
All right, man, I got final questions.
Okay.
What's next for Melvyn Prince? The next gig? Or you got anything's on the docket?
Yeah, more of the same, but I really want to get back to producing some projects and stuff and writing some stuff.
We're going to do something. We be talking about that.
Oh, but no, we don't. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, beautiful. So I am working on an EP for a poetess.
Okay.
She wrote a book of poetry. And so I suggested to her, she wanted to maybe have some musical background to some of her. And I said, well, why don't we make it into an EP, an extended play? So that's anywhere from 3 to 5 pieces. I said, so pick the 5 pieces that you want to display, and then we'll try to set those specific things to music. And then also, some of them will be just straight spoken word. Then others, we may do the poem as a song. And then the other, we may have instrumental solo.
Okay.
You see? So that's what I'm working on now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get that together.
Sounds wonderful. Got one more question. How can people contact you or and learn what you're doing and your work, or they want to throw a gig your way? You can look in the camera and let
You
them know.
can call me or text me at Melvyn Prince, and my number is 202-368-1409.
You're also on Facebook.
I'm on
and
Facebook,
LinkedIn.
Facebook Melvyn Prince, and also I'm on Instagram,
Okay.
Melvyn Prince 2.0,
Okay.
and I'm on LinkedIn also. But I got a new phone, so I have to find out how to get back into it.
I got you.
But anyhow, yeah, LinkedIn.
Okay.
So everything is under Melvyn Prince, and it's Melvin with a Y.
Yeah.
Melvyn.
Yes.
And then Prince like the rock star,
Yes, sir.
thankfully.
Well, my brother, man, I'm certainly appreciative that you took this time to share some of your wisdom and experience with us here on A Conversation.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, man. We've been talking about.
I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, man. That's what I want you to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm always learning more about the people that I thought I knew, and but I wanted to definitely have this opportunity to talk. We always talking after the gig and talking about
in
something
passing and so forth.
in passing. So thank you again for coming on.
You're very welcome,
Yeah,
and
man.
I just want to commend you, man. This is a beautiful series, and thankfully you're capturing people.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't even here anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
thank
no
goodness that you've done it,
doubt. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
My man. All right, there it is. You've been listening to my big brother, the one and only Mr. Melvyn Prince, right here on A Conversation in Jazz. And we'll see you on the next one.